composed of at least 5,000 square cut blocks running in a straight line for 1,900 feet before curving to create a J formation. This half-mile long stone construct remained relatively unknown until 1968 when diver J. Manson Valentine uncovered it. Mason was an amateur archaeologist who was diving around Bimini for traces of Atlantis. Atlantis was a lost civilization first mentioned by the Greek philosopher Plato. Plato stated that Atlantis existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules. And Atlantis was destroyed in a day after they lost their virtue and began their attempts to conquer the world. Through the years, many people have added to the Atlantis story, usually clairvoyants. Their stories tantalize believers in Atlantis with details of Atlantean life not mentioned by Plato. One such clairvoyant was a man named Edgar Cayce. Cayce was born in 1877 in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. It is said that at the age of 9 he developed a talent for learning the contents of a book word for word by putting it under his pillow while he slept. He started this practice after he heard a voice that said, "If you sleep a little, we can help you." 9-year-old Edgar was having trouble with his spelling, and the voice gave him the answer to his problem. At 16, he was injured by a baseball at school. He returned home in a dazed condition. After he was put to sleep, he awoke and instructed his mother to apply a specific type of poultice to his wound. When he awoke, he had no memory of ordering the poultice or of his injury. This would be the beginning of his ability to give medical instructions, past life readings, and prophecies while sleeping. He would become to be known as the Sleeping Prophet. In 1900, Cayce was employed as an insurance salesman when he contracted laryngitis. His ability to work was in jeopardy. Doctors told him that he would never fully recover. His voice. In the hopes of finding a solution to his condition, he turned to an amateur hypnotist, Al Lane, for help. Cayce was hypnotized and in a trance state. He prescribed a cure for his condition, which worked. His ability to give seemingly helpful medical advice while in a sleeping or trance state launched his credibility to many as a healer and a psychic. In time, he would not just give medical advice only, but he would give out past life readings and delve into prophecy. His prophetic readings, like the majority of claimed psychics, was not reliable. He prophesied major earth changes in the years between 1958 to 1998, which would include a California superquakes, the submersal of New York City and Japan, and a pole shift in 1998. These events obviously didn't happen at that time, but these events have been predicted by many people, non-psychics and psychics alike, for many years. Catastrophes like these probably will happen shortly before or during the tribulation, and the only person who can know with 100% certainty when these events will take place is God. Cayce also gave readings on Atlantis. He believed they used crystal technology that harnessed power from the sun. Cayce believed it was this power that led to their destruction and to the destruction of the island of Atlantis. In 1940, he predicted that Atlantis would rise again in 1968 or 1969 near the island of Bimini in the Bahamas. Cayce predicted that the records of Atlantis still existed and that a portion of its temples may be discovered under the slime of ages of seawater. He stated that Bimini was not Atlantis, just one of its outposts. Cayce would continue psychic readings until his death at the age of 67 on January 3, 1945. There are over 14,000 stenographic records of his trance readings for over 8,000 people. The Association for Research and Enlightenment, established in 1931 in Virginia Beach, Virginia, now holds copies of the 14,000 plus recordings that Cayce gave. Cayce's legacy would continue after his death with the discovery of the Bimini Wall by J. Mason Valentine. Valentine was aware of the Cayce prediction of remnants of Atlantis off the coast of Bimini and was specifically looking for some type of evidence of ancient structures when he found the wall on September 2, 1968. The island of Bimini has no evidence of stone monuments on the island itself, but does have some curious features on it, such as mounds of earth shaped like fish and other forms. Also, columns were found in 19 feet of water 3 miles northeast of the Bimini Wall. These columns resembled the squared columns found in the ancient cities of Tiahuanaco in Bolivia. The original inhabitants of Bimini were described by the Spanish explorers as able craftsmen who had lighter skin than the other Indians in the area, auburn hair, and occasional blue eyes. These genetic differences may be a clue that the native Indians of Bimini, who were called Lucayans, may have had contact with Europeans or others in pre-Columbian times. Unfortunately, the Lucayan Indians are now extinct, and any oral traditions of their origins and history was lost when they were conquered and cannibalized by the Carib Indians. The Carib Indians were aggressive and warlike, and would sharpen their teeth into fangs and would eat the tribes that they would defeat. The Caribbean Sea was named after them. The Caribs were then eventually replaced on the island by the descendants of West African slaves that Spain and Britain brought with them in the mid-1600s. This displacement of peoples again would virtually erase any knowledge of the island's earliest history that might have survived, but clues in the names of the island may shed some light as to who may have come here and to the island in the past. The meaning and origin of the name Bimini is unknown, but there is a close variation in the Egyptian language. Bimeninini, which means homage to the soul of Min. Min was the god that protected those who traveled on long journeys. This would be a fitting name for an outpost of the Egyptians located near the edge of their known world. More physical evidence of the possible Egyptian presence in the New World was found in the late 1930s when James Lockwood, Jr., an American archaeologist who was in Haiti, claimed he saw a stone statue of the ancient Egyptian god of the dead, Anubis. The stone statue had been discovered on an offshore island. The Lucayan name for Bimini was Guanahani. In Arawak, the language of the Lucayans, Guanahani means the place of the encircling walls. This name for the island is a bit curious, because there were no monuments, buildings, or structures found on the island, and nothing else to support why it was called the place of the encircling walls, except for the Bimini Road that was off the coast. Also, another interesting name connection to the island of Bimini and to the other ancient cultures is that of the Guanches. The Guanches were the native inhabitants of the Canary Islands off the northwest coast of Africa. The Guanches, like many native tribes, became extinct after their discovery by Europeans in the 15th and 16th centuries. Guanahani translates in the language of the Guanches to the island of men. It is not unheard of for names in one language to translate into another, with no connection in their languages. So the possible connections to the Guanches and the ancient Egyptians awaits further proof to be discovered. One thing for certain, the New World was visited by several cultures in the distant past, and the remnants of these cultures may yet still be found. The general consensus about the Bimini Wall is that it is a natural formation. The wall is made from beach rock, which is found throughout the area, and that the road or wall-like quality of the structure is due to waves from the ocean, breaking up the beach rock into symmetric patterns. Scientists cite similar examples at Loggerhead Key, Dry Tortugas, and near Sri Lanka, but it has been noted that these examples of broken beach rock come nowhere near to the complexity and linear structure that is that of the Bimini Wall, let alone the carved J at its base that could not have been made by the rising and falling of the tides. The beach rock that makes the wall is significantly eroded, and any traces of inscriptions or tools used on it is gone. Radiocarbon dating of the site puts the age of the shells in the beach rock between 2,000 to 4,000 years old, to the dismay of some who see it as proof of Atlantis. Plato put the time of Atlantis to about 10,000 BC. This date would put the construction of the site way beyond this supposed time of Atlantis. We must remember there is a great difference of opinion on the age of the planet and the amount of time that man has occupied it. Christians in general would believe in more of a young Earth theory, somewhere between 6,000 to 12,000 years, while scientists would say the Earth is billions of years old, and modern man being on the Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. Radiocarbon dating is not an exact